Founded at the end of 1958 in the midst of Franco's dictatorship, ETA made itself known in a public manifesto in July 1959. The group stated its aim as to bring about an independent, socialist and Basque-speaking Basque Country, which would annex Navarre and the French Basque Country. In its fourth assembly, it adopted an action-reaction strategy. That is, attacks were to be used to provoke indiscriminate police repression of the Basque population so that a revolutionary war would break out. This strategy was applied in 1968, when the organization committed its first two murders, that of the civil guard José Antonio Pardines and Inspector Melitón Manzanas. Franco's dictatorship gave a clumsy response in the form of mass arrests, and so a spiral of violence began, but the announced revolutionary war never came, just terrorism. Between 1970 and 1975, ETA carried out 145 attacks, including the assassination of the president of the government, Luis Carrero Blanco, in 1973, and the bomb that killed 13 people and wounded another 70 in the Rolando cafeteria in Madrid in 1974.
Señores diputados, ha quedado aprobada la ley de amnistía.
After the first democratic elections in 1977, and despite the amnesty law that freed all ETA prisoners from jail, the different groups into which ETA had split decided to continue killing.
Ha sido asesinado el presidente de la Diputación Vizcaína, don Augusto Zeta Barrenechea. También cayeron fulminados por las metralletas dos hombres de su escolta.
The day after the Spanish cabinet ratified the amnesty bill, ETA assassinated Augusto Unzeta. And less than a week after the last ETA prisoner was released, a commando killed Julio Martínez, a local councillor in Irún. During the transition, ETA terrorists killed more than 300 people and represented the principal obstacle to the democratization process. This mayhem of terrorism was made possible by the social and political rise of the nationalist left, the existence of a sanctuary in France to where commandos escaped after carrying out their attacks, the inefficiency of the judicial and police systems, the lack of unity amongst democratic parties, and the absence of a response by the public to ETA's crimes. The violence was financed by robberies, extortion, and kidnappings.
Es que vamos a hacer pública la decisión política de la disolución de nuestra organización armada.
The disappearance of two of the terrorist splinter groups, ETA Político-Militar and the autonomous anti-capitalist commandos in the mid-1980s, ended up leaving ETA Militar with a monopoly on the historic acronym ETA. Although the number of deaths of the group per year began to go down, terrorism continued to be the main problem of public order in Spain. However, things were starting to change for the terrorists. In the mid-1980s, the French and Spanish governments began collaborating, and France stopped being a safe haven for ETA. The gradual weakening of the organization reduced the number of its attacks, and the terrorists tried to compensate by increasing their devastating impact. In 1985, ETA set up the Madrid and Barcelona commandos, which began to use car bombs. This was the method used by ETA to assassinate 5 civil guards in Juan Bravo Street, Madrid, on the 25th of April, 1986. On 14th of July, another car bomb killed 12 civil guard officers in Madrid's Plaza de la República Dominicana. 1987 was the bloodiest year since 1980. ETA killed 52 people, 21 of them in the Hipercor shopping center in Barcelona in June, and another 11, 5 of them girls, in the Zaragoza barracks in December. On the 29th of March 1992, ETA's leaders were arrested in a farmhouse in Bidat in the French Basque Country. Although leaders were replaced, the security forces later also arrested the replacements.
Hay tres posibilidades en esta vida: vivir como un cobarde, si tienes dinero largarte, o quedarte con todas las consecuencias, y yo opto por la tercera.
¿Qué tal? Buenas noches. ETA ha vuelto a matar a sangre fría por la espalda. Esta vez su víctima ha sido un político. Gregorio Ordóñez tenía 37 años y era desde el jueves candidato del Partido Popular para alcalde de San Sebastián. Fue esta tarde a las 3:30 en un bar muy conocido del casco viejo de esta ciudad. Un tiro en la nuca. Han dicho los que le conocían que Gregorio era un hombre valiente en la lucha contra ETA. Y ETA no se lo perdonaba y le amenazó varias veces. Algunas quedaron grabadas en su contestador automático.
A ver, Gregorio, estamos hasta los cojones de ti, ¿eh? Una degradación más tuya, ¿eh? Y tu familia corre un riesgo de morir. Cualquiera de ellos, estamos hasta los cojones ya de ti. Fuera de Euskadi, cabrón.
Between 1995 and 2010, a period during which ETA killed a total of 98 people, they followed a new strategy, involving the collectivization or socialization of suffering. ETA terrorized non-nationalist Basques by persecuting leaders and militants of the Partido Popular, the PSOE, and the Unión del Pueblo Navarro, as well as intellectuals, teachers, journalists, and other professionals. ETA murdered about 30 people of this kind during this period.
La policía investiga la desaparición del funcionario de prisiones José Antonio Ortega, destinado en la cárcel de Logroño y que desde ayer se encuentra en paradero desconocido.
On the 17th of January 1996, ETA kidnapped José Antonio Ortega Lara. State security forces freed him on the 1st of July the following year. That perceived failure led ETA to seize Miguel Ángel Blanco, a young councillor of the Partido Popular from the town of Ermua in Biscay. In an ultimatum, the government was given 48 hours to change its prison policy and transfer to the Basque Country all prisoners convicted of terrorist crimes, a condition impossible to meet. Despite mass demonstrations and public outcry, ETA murdered Miguel Ángel Blanco. The subsequent wave of protests surpassed all expectations and marked a turning point in the recent history of the Basque Country. Increasingly cornered and depleted in number, ETA had lost its international support, its sanctuary, its commandos, its leaders, and its former stamina. What is more, police and judicial action prompted a deep crisis in the relationship between ETA and its political wing. On October 20th, 2011, ETA announced the definitive cessation of its armed activity. The final act of a tragedy that has left more than 850 dead, almost 2,600 injured, more than 80 kidnapped, thousands threatened, and an unknown number of economic victims and people forced into exile.